I'm Reverend June Huff, and I'm at Church of the Ascension in London, Ontario. And I'm just taking a moment with you, like a midweek moment or two or three or so many, to talk about what's interesting for you. You know, if you're questioning, you're curious, and you want to know what's going on in the world in terms of how it relates to the church or your spirituality or your religious life, well, maybe we can talk about that. And so today, I was thinking, there's so much going on in the world, and there's these overwhelming question that everybody keeps wondering and keeps talking about, and it's on the internet, and it just seems like the topic of the conversation everywhere you go. And I guess that's Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Now, I know you're thinking probably the war in Ukraine is something we should talk about, and maybe the Indigenous visit to the Pope is something we should explore, but I think the reason people are talking about the Will Smith incident is because it hits us at a more personal level. And we can weigh in on it. We know the war in Ukraine is wrong. We want it to end. We hope our Indigenous people get justice. But in terms of what happened there, I've heard a multitude of things about what was going on. And so let's see, what would Jesus do? Well, I don't know. Jesus never went to an Academy Awards show. Not that I know of anyway. And so we're trying to presuppose how God and Jesus would act. Jesus wasn't above a little bit of anger. I mean, he did destroy the temple. If you don't know it, I ask you to just check the Bible for the story. But he also did something interesting, is that he supported people and uplifted them. That was his main role. And what he really wanted to do was support and uplift those who were like on the edges of society, who are really dismissed. When Will Smith gets up on the stage to slap Chris Rock, preceding that, he was laughing with a joke like we all do when we're faced with some kind of discomfort. I'll just go with the flow. And then he looked at his wife and she rolled her eyes, and he sort of adjusted his jacket, and he decided he was going to take care of it. And some people thought that was great. I've even heard people say it was chivalrous. It was a man defending his woman like she's a piece of property, which is how it comes across, by the way. You see, if we decide that women need defending, we're saying that they're almost like children, and that I'm going to be the one who's going to champion them. When it gets down to that, I'm not some woman waiting for a man to rescue her. I can actually handle my own dragons most of the time, unless it has to do with some kind of physical danger. Then yeah, I need somebody to step in and intervene who's bigger and stronger than I am. But for the most part, I can hold my own in an argument. I don't need somebody else to do it for me. So there's different ways to handle this. We don't mean men stepping in to save the little lady, helping her out, showing them a big guy. It's more an ego thing. If you really want to support women in your life, what might happen is he grabbed her hand and he said, hey, you know, we got this. We're going to be okay. And then talk to Chris afterwards. Or maybe his wife should have talked to Chris afterwards, or needed to talk to Chris afterwards and say, don't do that to me anymore. I find sometimes when I face the demons or the dragon or whoever it is, they tend to back off a lot more. I don't need somebody to defend me with words, with action. I can defend myself. And Will Smith hit Chris Rock because he was defending his wife against words. There was no danger to her. There was nothing like that. And I'm sure she has her own talk show. She's talked about her issues with alopecia. She's had a really incredibly difficult life. I think that lady, that woman, can hold her own. Most of us can. And what Jesus did was support women in his walk who had no voice, and he helped them and supported them having a voice. He did it all kinds of ways. First, by listening to them, by addressing them, by treating them as an equal, that people who have worth. And he did so in a way that eventually the call to Easter was made by a woman who ran and said, I have seen the risen Lord. Because she felt that she was supported enough and she could do that. So, as we're talking about the week and going forward, I encourage you to give that some thought. How do we support one another without stepping in with violence? How do we esteem each other and show each other that we have worth? And we do it by loving them, supporting them, lifting them up, and saying, you got this, I've got your back. So, I leave that with you. And I'd like to hear your stories and your experiences of the supernatural, the spiritual, and just life in general. And so until then, thanks for being with me for a few moments, or 2 or 3. Bye-bye.